Have you guys heard about this? And it's a scary thought. I'm not wishing for it, but sometime, and this is why I've entitled this live stream predictive programming. It seems like they like to tell us things before it happens. There's something called the revelation of method. Um, is actually an occultic term, and the thing about it is kind of like the people who are either Satanists who are into that lifestyle, and those scholar bone kind of. I don't want to go into all this, but anyway, one of the things that they believe, if they tell you something before it happens, then they're not responsible. Then they can avoid karma. They can avoid what the residual impact might be. It's kind of a weird way of thinking about it. As Christians, we don't believe in that. We believe in consequences and stuff. But they believe if you do one bad things will happen to you, which is karma. But if you reveal it ahead of time, then you avoid it. And anything that happens then as a result, whatever the consequences might be, they can say it's not my fault because I did tell you, kind of thing. So I'm looking at this movie, I'm thinking like this trailer here, I'm like, are they trying to warn us of what is to come? There's a lot to examine here. I think it will be fair for us to watch the entire trailer in itself and then come back and examine it in pieces. So I know, Darth Vader, you have some thoughts. I have some thoughts myself.
Fair enough.
And let's bring it together.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The future president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens? We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death. Blooded.
Every time I survived the war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? We're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car! Move!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, 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 go!
God bless America.
Wow. There's a lot in this thing.
Scott, the movie's called Civil War.
Civil War. So, okay, let's try to see if we can milk it as much as possible. Darth Vader, you go ahead. Where you let me know where you want me to go and this and that.
Well, I mean, even right here in the opening shot, you can see the lady he's talking to is just like, well, we don't want to get involved in it. We're just trying to stay neutral.
All right, let's hear that one again.
The uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With
How does that apply?
So you got a lot of people nowadays who are like, we don't want to get political. We don't want to pick a side. We're just doing our own thing. We don't want to get involved. So that's the type of person that you're finding here that doesn't want to get involved in anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in a case like this, nobody's going to care. They're still
Mm-hmm.
going to put their knee on your neck,
That's crazy.
you know?
Good point. I think some people are just tired of it. They just don't know what to do. But
Yeah.
irrespective of where you stand politically, you are involved. It's just you are involved in one of the sides. You can say I'm independent. I think there is really no such thing as an independent. There really isn't. You can claim it, but there are decisions you make. There are things you do that you either fall on one or two camps. And I hate to put people in camps, but it's just the reality. And I see it bigger than politics. For me, it's about a war between good and evil.
Mhm.
But there's really no such thing as an independent. I think in a lot of cases, and I'm confessing here, as an independent, oftentimes when we claim to be an independent, is because we are afraid to make a stand. I
Yeah.
think we just don't want to associate with a particular group because that group may be called white supremacist and yada yada, instead of making a bold stand for what is right. And we just claim to be independent so that we can stay in the middle, which doesn't really exist. But I
So,
just think it's such a
to-
thing.
real quick, to answer Michael's question here,
I think it's America 24.
I believe that's what it stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the studio that is producing the movie.
Okay, good point. But I also notice the fact that they're talking about 2024 for this movie to be released, and knowing that many of the issues that are happening in the world are
Mhm.
all coming to an end in 2024, war in Ukraine and what's happening with Hamas and so on now. And the 2024 election is coming, and it's like, 2024 is going to be a serious year, boy. It's one of those years that things are either going to get better or they're going to get worse than we've ever seen before.
Mhm.
I want to be an optimistic and say, yeah, I hope it does get better by the grace of God. But at the same time, I don't want to be naive and gullible, because I know that when you read the Bible, you're like, oh yeah, perilous time is coming. It's like,
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be a doom and glooms preacher here, but I'm not going to lie to you. When I
Not
read
gonna
my Bible,
sugarcoat
it
it.
doesn't say things will get better. It doesn't say that. It will get better when Jesus comes. But that doesn't necessarily mean we shouldn't fight. That doesn't necessarily mean we should just let it burn. I don't believe that either,
Right.
But I want to listen to the first part of the message again here in the video.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance. Is it ever
Yeah.
possible for California and Florida, Texas, to unite?
Basically, it's saying the entire United States is fractured.
Yeah, the entire United States is fractured, but there are two main states that are coming together to fight against, Richmond, north of Richmond, Washington, D.C.
Right.
But is that ever going to happen? Because if you think about it, like California and Texas, and we did several videos from Babylon B showing people moving from California to Texas and how polar opposite in policies they are. Could these two nations ever come together? Like,
but
really?
But we'll get to that. I'll get to
Yeah,
that.
I
I'll
mean-
get to that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll come back to
Because
that.
we'll
Okay, you let me know what's the next part you want to go.
to sadly quote a horrible press secretary. We'll circle back to that.
Okay. Circle back. Okay, let's go. Where else you want to go? Notice quickly on the flag, there's only two states left.
Stars. Yeah.
So
2 stars.
I'm guessing this will represent Texas and Florida.
That would be, or Texas and California.
Texas and California. Yeah, I'm sorry, Texas and California to be exact. Yeah. Okay.
Which is actually kind of surprising. Now, or you almost had it right where the president is standing behind the pedestal.
Okay. All right. Let's play that part.
Forces of Texas and California.
Back it up just a hair.
Suffered a very great defeat.
Who does he kind of look like?
Gavin Newsom.
So with Gavin Newsom no longer at the helm of California, California is generally mostly a red state. Without Gavin Newsom at the helm, and if Gavin Newsom becomes president, what does that mean?
Lord have mercy.
You know what I'm saying? Because even Ron DeSantis said that, Gavin Newsom wants the Biden administration on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Absolutely.
mean, it's very likely that he might just go full blown dictatorship on it.
Boy. All right. The next part I want to highlight quickly is look at the shirts of some of the guys with the weapons.
In California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces.
So you notice they're wearing like Hawaiian shirts.
Interesting, because I found an article that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Do you remember, guys?
The Boogaloo Boys.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, ain't that something? But they associate them to the right wing. They kind of call them extremist, which I don't necessarily know how true that was.
Which, you know,
The
anything
implication
goes,
might be.
anything that goes against the narrative is considered right wing these days.
Yeah,
So, you know.
the implication will be that white wings are going to be the ones fighting with weapon against the government. They're going to be the leading ones starting a civil war.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones leading the charge.
Interesting.
Because we're the ones that, you know, I guess, you know, having weapons and stuff makes you right wing now.
Yeah. You believe in freedom as well.
Yeah.
We are the ones who believe in protecting our borders.
I like the one there with George Washington.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a crazy connection that they made in the movie. That's not by chance. They don't just pick these T-shirts just for random. You know, it's no.
And I can really appreciate the details that they put into it.
Yeah, I like that. What I still think is woke garbage, to be honest, because it's not really connecting the dots correctly.
I don't know how much woke there is to it. I mean, I'm kind of in the fence about that.
Yeah, because the connecting for me, when they connect California with Texas, I was like, that's like oil and water.
But
so,
but
then
again,
it could be. I could give it more respect. I don't know necessarily where they're going with it.
I revert back to my previous statement. If Gavin Newsom becomes president and he's no longer the mayor, governing over California, and they bring in somebody who say might be more, you know, right leaning and Republican, what's to say that, you know, they don't come up with an alliance?
Scary thought.
So the next one I wanted to go to would be where the sniper is.
Okay. Just there. All right, there he is.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Right there.
But here we are. Home. Don't do this.
Pause. So
check out the nails, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Now I saw a breakdown on this on another YouTuber's channel, and he kind of gave him the credit of, well, you know, maybe he was just playing with his daughter or something along those lines.
That's
and
possibly
that was
right.
last thing he was doing before everything broke loose.
Good point.
Okay.
That's one theory.
That's one theory. My alternate theory is this. Look at his hair.
He's very woke.
Okay. What's to say he isn't on the opposite side and
might be even
one of those you know, fancy boys dressing up, you know, because we know there's a lot of them that were actually former military and have training like this.
Oh, wow.
So it's very likely he was a cross-dresser and drag queen who just happened to be caught up in the middle of this and never took off the painted nails. Exactly. I mean, you get what I'm getting at. His hair and everything goes along with that type of ideology, and he's wearing a uniform. So that indicates that he's actually military, not civilian.
But he does, in the next clip, they portray him as somewhat right wings or anti-immigrant kind of thing. If you
No,
notice,
that wasn't him.
Oh, that's not him. That's a different guy. The
That's
guy with the
different.
glasses, and then
Yeah.
and this guy's not the same.
No,
Oh wow.
totally different people.
Oh snap. Okay, we gotta watch this movie. All right, let's look at the next clip. That's a good point. I didn't notice that.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you?
So the message here is what?
Are you with us or
Are you-
against us?
Okay, but I can also see that if you're not born from this country, we don't consider you an Americans. Or it's almost like I don't
Like
know, I'm
that
seeing-
question has so many different.
There's so many
meanings.
layers to this.
Yeah, like it leaves so many questions unanswered.
Yeah, you gotta
You
go
know?
watch it, and I get it. I know what they're doing here. They're trying to promote the thing.
And then he's like, "Oh, you don't know," and then the next shot, he's drawing down on him.
All right, let's take a look.
You don't know?
Okay, wow.
And
This
if you
is crazy.
notice on them, they
Mhm.
have press badges.
Yeah.
So here, one of the things is freedom of press no longer a thing.
But in the movie, it also says even journalists were not allowed to even report on some of the things.
Yeah, they're being shot in the Capitol on
Yeah.
site.
So this is telling you there is like a complete takeover. Authoritarian government has completely taken over, and California and Texas have combined their forces to push back against it. It's almost like the overarching message here.
Mhm.
But we don't know who have taken over. Is it Russia? Is it China? Is it Iran? Is it a domestic? I don't know. We still don't know. We have to figure that out by watching the movie, I guess. But
Well,
is
there's an old adage that America is not going to fall from without, but from within.
yes, I believe that to be true.
So, I mean, no matter what, I think it's always going to come from corruption from within the country.
Mm,
And like I said, you're going to see it come from somebody who's already here. And as you can see, they've already executed
mhm.
one
Yeah,
right there.
interesting. And now I'm still asking the question: why do they feel the need to release this in 2024? You know, that might be a question. That's all.
Good
Because
question.
It's just like 2024 is like one of those years where you're like, yo, it looks like everything is coming together in 2024.
It's almost as if this is what they want.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's why I call this predictive programming. I think they're making the prediction that we get into the thinking, just like they did with the movie Contagion in 2011. And there's a movie called Leave the World Behind, and I plan on doing a whole analysis on that myself, and I have a whole script that I'm working on. But it seems like they're warning us about what is to come through different means and movies. Like the story doesn't have to be as accurate as it is, as long as the theme remains true, which is that
the core concept.
A civil war is brewing, and 2024 might be the year when we see something like that takes place. And I'm
Or
thinking, like,
even if it isn't 2024, it could be like, you know,
it could be
like you said,
20 years from now.
they released what, Contagion in 2011. We didn't see
Yeah.
it until 2020.
Yeah,
Could be 9-10 years down the road.
yeah. The
So-
timing doesn't really matter as long as the message is.
We could have a couple presidencies from now before Gavin Newsom steps up and becomes president.
Mhm.
And then once he takes over, that's it.
Yeah, you know, and there's been a saying that in Hollywood there's a lot of 3-letter alphabet agencies that are writing the script, and sometimes you wonder like how much influence did they have in the script of this movie that they feel they need to send a message like this, you know? So anyway,
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get
I find that's another point. Pause.
You're gonna
Pause
hang
it.
back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God,
Pause it real quick.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
I'll tell you what, we are in trouble.
I find it interesting that they said that Western forces, as in California and Texas, are going to reach the White House on July 4th.
Wow. What a date.
You know, like, okay.
I'm just saying, I don't want to overthink this matter, but it looks to me that somebody's trying to give us a warning here. And I know the comments are going to be great. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, right. The first comment, I'm going to say, just find out how Texas and California ended up on the same side.
That was my first initial thought too. It's like, how did that happen with all this division between these nations anyway? So that was my first thought. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So that is interesting. All right. What else is people are saying?
Well, actually, what happens during a civil war does count, because a lot of bad things can happen during a civil war.
Yeah. Yeah. As a Canadian who sits close and watches everything unfold in America, seeing this trailer is nothing compared to what a civil war would do. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we haven't seen.
You think it's bad here? Imagine it breaking out here, and then them turn around and having it break out in Canada at the same time.
Yeah, true.
Like, that's just a recipe for invasion.
Yeah, that is true. Got Texas and California, same thing.
You know it's fiction. Well, don't be so sure about that. Like I said, I think I gave a fairly decent explanation as to how that could potentially happen.
Yeah.
Like, if Larry Elder becomes governor of California,
it has to go completely red before this happens.
Like,
I highly doubt it, because the people at the top who are funding the taxpayers and not the taxpayers so much, but those who, I mean, the funds, the people who pays the fund to the politicians and so on. But most of them are woke, so that means they will have to move out. The entire Hollywood in itself has to move out, because largely California is supported by these superstars and so on.
Well, there's actually a movement right now, kind of like an underground movement in Hollywood, where they're trying to make real movies, like good movies.
Because they know this stuff gone completely berserk on that woke stuff, right?
Yeah, and they do stuff with like Angel Studios. They do stuff with Daily Wire. All kinds of other studios to make real movies. Nick, the actor, someone Megan and I watched, was talking about it last night, and he's a part of it.
Crystal says U.S. versus illegals. Have mercy. You're thinking, Crystal. After watching Leave the World Behind, literally just last night, seeing this trailer today, I have a feeling they are really trying to tell us something, and it's bigger than we think. That's kind of what I'm saying. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more we can say about that. I think this was a great trailer. I don't think it tells the entire story correctly, but it certainly, I think it's a warning, though. There's a warning in it. Something is brewing,
For sure.
I don't know what it is. When you do read the Bible, you do notice that, like, the Bible speaks about how the nations are distressed. They're distressed with perplexities. It's like it's in Luke 21. I think it's verse 25. Yeah, there it is. So Luke 21, about verse 25, talks about there shall be signs in the suns and in the moon and in the stars, and on the earth, distress of nations in perplexity because of the warring of the sea and the waves. So there is like destructive weather pattern. There is signs in the moon and the stars, and also the nations are in distress. They are very perplexed. So when you are perplexed, it's a key word to look into the scripture. When you are perplexed, is that you are facing a situation and you don't know how to solve the problem. So that's kind of where perplexity comes in. So if nations are facing some type of calamity or situation, problem that they cannot solve, that's perplexity. So in essence, this is completely disarrayed, kind of crazy lawlessness we're talking about. And the Bible says men's hearts failing them for fear. Let me go to the King James. So that King James is sweeter. All right, it says men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. What it tells you right after that, they're going to be signs in the sky that Jesus is coming again in a cloud with great power and great glory. So we have the hope that is found as we look to the second coming of Christ. When I think as we think about that, meditate on that, strengthen our relationship with the Lord, this is how you get it. And making sure you do the things that you ought to be doing as far as loving your neighbor as yourself and sharing the gospel as often as you can, caring for those around you. As you do that, I think you should not be naive enough to think that this could never happen. You know, it's too extreme to this thing. You can't sit here and become so, how should I say this, being completely afraid and living in fear of what might be happening in the future. Things are going to happen. When you read Bible prophecy, it's almost like there's no stopping it. You know, it's been predicted in scripture. So, but you don't want to become a person who's become a pessimistic nature. Everything is bad, dooms, gloom everywhere. I think you should live the best life you can live now. Cherish your moments now. But also, while you hope for the best, brace yourself for the worst. You know, that's really my counsel I can give you. It's just, it's going to go down. It's going to go down.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah,